She wanted to be a doctor. She always looked out for others. She did not like her insults, but later, she was found torn inside and brutally killed in a butcher shop like meat. This is the terrible and sad story of Mariana Joselin Baltierra Valenzuela, who was brutally raped and killed just a few steps away from her home. Stay tuned till the end to learn more about this sad event and its impact on her community. The investigation into her murder revealed shocking facts that left everyone in disbelief. On July 27, 2017, 18-year-old Mariana Joselin Baltierra Valenzuela went out to buy eggs and ham for breakfast. It was 9:30 in the morning. Her mother, Saira Valenzuela, stayed at their home in the Americas housing development in Ecatepec, looking after her youngest son and a 2-year-old sister. I felt she had taken too long, she says. The grocery store was only steps away. As time passed, she convinced herself something was wrong and went out to look for her daughter, holding her sister in her arms. She asked the shopkeepers, who said their daughter had been there but had left some time ago. Sarah's heart pounded with fear as she frantically searched the area for Joselin. She returned home, asked somebody to look after her niece, and went out to the streets in the company of a neighbor to ask anyone she knew about her daughter's whereabouts. She asked neighbors if they had seen her, but they needed more helpful information. Nobody had seen Joselin. Panic set in as Saira realized her daughter was missing. Saira chose to call her husband. He told her to dial 911 and explain what had happened. As she went home, a report was made at 911. The dispatcher asked for Mariana's security number and suggested Saira to raise an investigation at the San Cristobal attorney's office. Saira did so and returned to her home several hours later, where they stayed without any news. Her husband had asked for access to the security cameras in the area. But as Saira puts it, access was denied to him, both from the public and private cameras. Saira and her husband grew increasingly desperate as the hours passed without a sign of their daughter. They felt frustrated by the lack of cooperation in accessing the security camera footage that could reveal Mariana's whereabouts. Saira couldn't shake the feeling that someone was intentionally obstructing their efforts to find her daughter. Despite the setback, Saira remained determined to do whatever it took to bring Mariana back home safely. State police cops arrived. Operatives from the National Security Commission arrived too. Hours went by and the evening came. On Friday, July 28th, Saira went out very early to go over the places Mariana should have passed by on her way to the grocer's and back. A block of flats, a butcher's, a gray metal door with mirror-like squares, a handmade tortilla place, and then the grocer's her daughter had been to a day before. Mariana didn't even have to cross the street. All the places stood on the same side of the street. On the day of the events, both the butcher's and the tortilla place were closed. The rest of the street looked the same as ever, with its greengrocers and a chicken shop across the way. At 8:30 in the morning, Saira's brother-in-law told her that there was a police car outside the butcher's. She rushed there to ask for news about her daughter. The agents responded that they were not there to examine a missing person case, but for a different matter, and they asked her to leave. I had a bad feeling and didn't want to leave the place, she says. 2 hours passed, during which a mass of interested people were called while investigative experts and an attorney general arrived. A dead body was finally taken out. Someone told Sarah's husband that, unfortunately, it was the body of a girl with the traits of the one they were looking for before getting it into the forensic truck. And there, on the corner of Independencia Avenue and Jose Maria Morelos y Pavon, a search officer approached Mariana's parents and told them that there was a dead young woman who matched the traits of her daughter. Between 10:30 and 11 in the morning, the family was able to confirm that Joselin had been killed. She had been raped and killed with a butcher's knife. The killer kept her alive for quite some time, until the wee hours of the next day. According to the autopsy, Mariana died in the first hours of July 28th. Then it was the turn of the processes, the lawsuit, and the statements. In this process, the owner of the butcher shop revealed that Juan de la Cruz Quintero Martinez, his employee, had been renting a room next to the supplies for between 15 and 20 days. According to the femicide attorney general, the suspected person responsible for the crime, Juan Cruz Quintero Martinez, had been living for 20 days in a room at the top of the butcher shop. He had worked there 2 years ago before not showing up again one day. Mariana's mother remembered how her daughter had told her how afraid she was of the way the butcher looked at her. I asked Mariana not to greet him or look at him, and I stopped sending her to the butcher shop until I heard he didn't work there anymore. I thought everything was okay and we continued our lives as usual. They didn't know that Quintero Martinez had come back until the morning when the owner opened the butcher shop and found blood all over the place. At first he thought it was the blood of his employee, but he confirmed otherwise as he went upstairs. The killer had changed his clothes before fleeing. He left his clothes full of blood at the scene, as well as the killing knife. The police were called immediately, and an investigation was launched to track down Quintero Martinez. The entire neighborhood was on edge, knowing that a killer was on the loose. People started locking their doors and being cautious of strangers. It was a terrifying time for everyone, and the butcher shop remained closed until the killer was caught. You could see from inside the butcher shop what was going on outside in the street, notes Saira. On that day, he could see us all the time as we were looking for my daughter. As the investigation continued, more details about Quintero Martinez's past came to light, painting a disturbing picture of a troubled and dangerous individual. The community banded together, sharing information and keeping a watchful eye out for any suspicious activity. An arrest warrant was filed. In addition, the institution offered a prize of up to $3,000 to anyone who provided helpful information that led to the location and arrest of the butcher of Ecatepec, called this way because of how the homicide occurred. Juan de la Cruz Quintero Martinez fled, but 2 years later he was caught by elements of the Mexican prosecutor's office in August 2019 in the state of Oaxaca, moved and admitted to the penitentiary center and social reintegration of Ecatepec. That same day it was learned that Juan, who worked in the meat shop, caught her when she was returning home after having bought some goods and tricked her into a room where he abused her and subsequently killed her. The brutal murder sent shockwaves through the community of Ecatepec, leaving residents terrified and on edge. Juan's capture brought a sense of relief and justice to the victim's family, who had been grieving and seeking closure for 2 long years. The tragic incident is a stark reminder of the dangers that lurk in even the most seemingly ordinary situations, and the importance of staying vigilant and cautious in our daily lives. After his arrest, the accused was moved by air to Mexico. With the proof gathered and given by the social representation of the Specialized Femicide Prosecutor's Office, the legal authority gave the sentence of life imprisonment for Quintero Martinez. The brutal murder sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents in disbelief that such a heinous crime could occur so close to home. The swift action taken by law enforcement to apprehend the perpetrator brought a sense of justice to the grieving family and friends of the victim. The sentencing of life imprisonment for Quintero Martinez was seen as a small measure of closure for those affected by the tragic loss. As the news of the sentencing spread, a collective sigh of relief could be felt among the community, knowing that justice had been served. However, the scars left by the crime would not quickly heal, and the memory of the victim would forever be etched in the hearts of those who knew her. Despite the closure brought by the legal proceedings, the sense of loss and pain lingered, a constant reminder of the fragility of life and the darkness that can exist in the world. But through it all, the community stood strong, united in their support for one another, and their determination to prevent such a tragedy from happening again. That's all for now, guys. Please like this video and subscribe to our channel if you would like to see more murder stories.